I just wanted to see if you guys could give me some understanding of what the hell is happening in the United States, right? Because we had a huge um, in the primaries. I just wanted a lot of Iranians are concerned because the Iranians are looking at the United States. They're like, okay, the whole world is now fucked. If the U.S. is going commie and Islamic, and the U.S. is the only guarantor of um, the only guarantor because first the Iranian people notice what's happening to Europe are like, oh my god, oh wow, that's horrible. Europe is that's happening. Like you couldn't believe what's happening to Europe. It's a good thing that United States that's not happening in the United States. But now in the primaries, primary victories in August, we had like across Michigan and other states, we had progressive, Islamic, communist, socialist Democrats are winning, and then using the Palestinian cause to do so as well. Like that seems to be front and center. The main thing that unites them. I saw Hassanabi saying it doesn't really matter if we disagree on anything else, on economic issues, on immigration, anything else, as long as we could like. The one thing that we have to check is like if we condemn Israel or not. That is the unifying factor here, which is basically before I say that, I think that many of you guys know here, for example, Abdul El Sayed won the Michigan Democratic primary, and if he wins the the midterms, it's going to be the first Muslim in the Senate. I know we have some Muslims in Congress, but this will be the first Muslim in the Senate. And it's interesting how all of these um, progressives and Muslim politicians are leveraging the Palestinian cause. And the reason why that is scary is because that's how it started with Iran, right? And I think like a lot of people don't understand how big of a disease the Palestinian cause is. A lot of people think Palestinian cause is something about Israel and Gaza, about some people in Gaza, some land dispute in the Middle East, that is far away from home. They don't understand how this is all an excuse for something so much bigger, something so much more global. Just a small little land in that has been used as a way to create an entire so-called resistance movement. And resistance against what? Against world order, against peace, against stability, against prosperity, against progress, against the Western world model. Communists and Muslims have united because they hate the Western world model, and nothing can unite. They realize that nothing can unite all of these different movements that are against the current dominant Western world model. Nothing can unite Sunnis and Shias and communists and the woke right and the woke left more than Jew hatred. So you need to create a group, a victim in a small piece of land that are with a narrative that they're being oppressed by Jews, to create a global resistance for something so much bigger than whatever is happening over there. And I just see it happening over and over again. Like people don't understand that the current occupation in Iran is a Palestinian occupation. Like Iran has been occupied by the Palestinian cause. Like the regime in Iran is about the Palestinian cause. The whole point of the regime in Iran is the Palestinian cause. It's not about Iran. It's about using Iran for the sake of the Palestinian cause. So we have been invaded by the Palestinian cause. You could see, for example, even in so many things, like even recently when you had the defense agreement between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. The reason why you had that defense agreement is because they couldn't get into the Abrahamic Accord because of the Palestinian cause existing in these countries, meaning that these countries cannot get into normalization with Israel even if they want to, because there would be an Islamic uprising in their country, right? So if the Palestinian cause was not an issue, instead of having UAE, Bahrain, Somaliland, and other countries in one corner, and then Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey in another corner, they will all just be united in one front against the Islamic Republic. But they can't because of this thing called the Palestinian cause. The Palestinian cause, like, is actually a genius way of getting in, right? Because the way to get the corruptive Western mind is not to say like, hey, here's Islam, here's anti-imperialism, here's anti-Zionism. That, the way to get in is like, hey, look at these people suffering. We're against that. Join our cause. That's a really, that's a really strategic way of getting in, and then spreading a disease that is not about at all saving those people, right? It's all about basically getting in your countries and then getting in your politics, and then taking over with this whole resistance movement, which is a revolutionary movement. It's a revolutionary movement, revolution against everything that has made the world more prosperous for the past 150 years. It's a revolution against that. And people don't understand that the Palestinian cause is coming for your way of life. And now that we're seeing, like, just like in Iran, where the leftists and the Muslims united on this, on these issues, on anti-imperialism and anti-Zionism, imperialism from their perspective, and took away our country. We're seeing this now in the West. We're seeing, like, again, I know, like, we might not be close at all to something like that. Maybe this is fear mongering, but I think the time to pay attention is before you get to that point where you have to be very alarmed, right? You shouldn't be taking action when you get very alarmed. But for a lot of us, this is deja vu, and it's a lot of Iranians are having a hard time understanding how the Americans are allowing this to happen. And I'm wondering what you guys think is happening, and whether this will continue, and how what is the best way to stop it. I don't know if you guys have any ideas. Are there any twos on this topic in the chat? Are you following what's happening? Are you noticing this guy like Abdul El Sayed? Are you guys, is anybody paying attention to this? Because I want to hear your opinions.
Now first.
Who?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I didn't realize I was first. I think those concerns are pretty valid to an extent. But I also would like to remind people that it's August right now, and we still have 2 to 3 months to go, so things can still change in that time. Like, things might look like it might go towards the Democrats right now, but there's a thing called the October surprise where some event usually happens, and that might change the outcome of the election. So that's like one example was Hurricane Sandy, where the then Governor Chris Christie praised Obama, and that ruined the GOP's chances. That's one example, but like anything could happen. So Democrats might be doing well right now, but then Republicans might do better later, and they might end up winning. So, and it also depends state by state, district by district, depending on which election. So I'm not, I mean, those concerns are valid, Armin, but I would say just wait until October, and then we'll see what happens.
I mean, I think, like, just waiting is not a good strategy. You might be right, but, like, I think, like, some level of concern will make people act now instead of waiting and seeing what happens. No.
No, you're absolutely right. But I would also say that, and maybe fight it with different ideas. Like, okay, you have this concern, but why don't we talk about what can we do to make it better for that concern? So, no, you're absolutely right. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. I want others to talk as well.
Thank you, Noah.
Okay, then the next other will be Samantha.
I'm very scared and concerned. I think the problem is going to get way worse. Like, I don't know how bad it's going to get in America, but like, I absolutely think that it could get to the point where Jews might have to flee America. Yeah, so I don't know, like, who's like aware or been following someone by the name of Miss Rachel, who makes like content for little kids, but like, she, in my opinion, is the single most dangerous person in this PR war
Oh my God.
by a long shot, because she is directly little kids, and she is very much promoting the idea that, like, she's had like several like little kids from like her little kids from Gaza on her show, which is, one thing, but like she's kind of like promoting the idea that they were like, basically attacked just for being from Gaza and just for being Palestinian. And she's promoting this to little kids who love her and idolize her, like a big deal with little kids. And she's like had some various events with problematic characters, with people who've had ties with Hamas, and including like I don't know, she had like some ties. She like did some event with like Mayor Mamdani. So this generate like the generation of little kids that that are growing up watching her right now, who grew up in this post October 7th hearing about like genocide and shit, this is gonna get very scary. Like, you guys are talking about the midterms, I'm like thinking more long term, like shit, like in another like, you know like 15 years or so, when this generation of toddlers start becoming adults, like this is gonna be very scary. So that is more what I'm like concerned about.
I heard of her, but I didn't know that we have to pay any attention to her. I'm interested. I'll look more into it. Okay, let's go to Matthias next.
Who?
Matthias Magnumo. Okay.
Is the audio good enough?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Oh, now I can see your name.
Okay. So I think the issue with the Palestinianism concept is that there is the whole slogan about, oh, it's communism, KGB, but it's actually true. And I think that unless we do a proper analysis of where this is coming from, and it's like a virus that was created to infiltrate in Western society, to use what's good about Western society against itself. And I think that, like, unless we actually make it our own narrative, right? Like it's a virus that uses the psychology of young people, especially, of like empathy, things that are normal to have, right? And then the other narrative is like, oh, so you're against emotions, so you're against people, humans, right? So I feel like on our side, instead of playing defense and trying to every bullshit claim they make, trying to say, oh no, this is not true because this and that, and it's connected to the fact that like checking the news about Gaza, what's real, what's fake. Instead of doing that, I think we should create a proper movement where it's not like an anti-concept of like, oh, we're anti all that stuff. It should be a more propositional movement where people can actually join in and channel all those good things that we have in Western society, instead of being the, oh no, but actually because statistics, because that doesn't work. So I feel like that's the main issue that we're not doing properly, in my opinion. That what we could do better, I think.
Thank you. Let us go to Jeffrey next. Jeffrey.
So, Samantha, two quick things jump out with regards to the very legitimate concern that's being shared. Samantha's not wrong on it getting worse. That said, it's not so much worse in the sense of increasing the demographic that holds the sentiment, though our adversaries' amplification efforts do indeed do that. Rather, what you're seeing is an activation of elements that have been grown via advocacy professors misusing their position of education and responsibility to one of indoctrination and ideological privilege. A good example of that is immediately following the horrific terrorist attacks of October 7th against our Israeli allies. In one day, you had tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of left-wing lunatics marching down the street chanting about burning Jews in ovens and gassing them in showers in one day. And disproportionately, a lot of those kids, a lot of those people were university kids, like undergrad kids in universities, have been hijacked. So what do you do about it? One of the key elements, because what you're seeing is the soft power version of what terrorists do when they hide behind non-combatants, right? This is what leftists have done, pro-Soviets, Maoists, Islamists, they all do the same shit. Neo-Nazis, pick your predatory asshole, right? Co-opt a legitimate issue or suffering someone is facing to civil rights wash their predations and or sedition. And what you do, one of the best ways to push back against that is to de-link the very vulnerable demographics from those attempting to co-opt the challenges they face to civil rights wash that sedition. A good example historically would be, say, Manning Johnson. That's why almost assuredly, I mean, though it's not 100% has been validated, there's a lot of. So Manning Johnson was a really interesting guy. He was actually out of Buffalo, and he was very high up in CAPUSA, the Communist Party of the United States of America. Like he was one of the people they were grooming to be a national leader. And so Manning Johnson, American of African descent, very much was preyed upon, like the hook that the Communist Party of the CAPUSA used was, well, you see, America's racist, and that communists, they really allegedly love you there, Mr. Black Guy. And so, you know, he got suckered into that until Stalin betrayed the world and signed a aggression pact with Nazi Germany and carved up Poland. I mean, then Manning Johnson, he talks about it in HUAC. He gave he talked about that was the very moment he realized that communists, leftists, they don't care about him or black people for that matter. And he became the most ardent anti-communist in America. What's my point? My point is to de-link the demographics, the vulnerable demographics, these predatory fuckers try to co-opt. Why do you think you've seen so much pushback by the legacy, the left-wing hijack, the legacy media that has been institutionally captured by a co-aligned ideology, radical leftism, surround when it came to, say, Hamas, those motherfuckers killing people in Gaza that were protesting against Hamas, right? How much did the mainstream media, sans Fox News, run the reports when Hamas was gunning people down in Gaza? Not once. What do you do about it? I mean, I'm not saying that there may not have to be a kinetic response to the increasingly kinetically hybrid civil war these elements are waging against us. I'm saying from the soft power perspective, the best thing to do is to de-link them from the very vulnerable demographics that these assholes are trying to use as the soft power human shields.
So if I understood you correctly, people hate being betrayed more than anything else, and we should highlight cases where our enemies go against the groups that they pretend to represent.
100%.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Elisheva is next. Sorry, I misread it. Elisheva?
Elisheva.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. All right. I made notes because I'm not good at speaking on these things, but I don't necessarily think that Palestinian is meant to take over. The Palestinian cause is meant to take over the world. I just think that it's a tool to work toward like more of a global caliphate. So I mentioned in one of your other discussions or groups, I don't know, I'm in all of them, a week or two ago, that an Uber driver gave my 13-year-old son a Quran on his drive. And you were talking about a certain line in the Quran. I've been reading it. And you were talking about a certain line in the Quran, and the translation in the book that my son was given was a lot more diluted. So I've started reading, and in the beginning, this was published, I think, originally in 2016, and then published again in 2024. So after October 7th, they have a section about why there are violent passages in the Quran. Like they're trying to explain away all the things that the Western world doesn't digest well, I guess. And the language that they use in here is very similar to the words that are used in a lot of the like the pro-Palestinian, all the slogans they use, the marches they use, like some of them, that they should stand up for truth and fight for justice. So the violent passages are justified within the Quran because they're fighting for justice against aggressors, regardless of their faith. And I just think that by creating this huge cause and inserting certain language, then when they republish things like this to hand out to the masses, because this is mass produced in English, and the language matches, then you have an entire almost generation of people who see a parallel between their cause and the Quran. And now they want to convert. So now you have a ton of converts without having to force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. And that's my whole point.
Thank you.
So,
oh yeah, go on, Danny. Sorry.
so like, you're saying the Palestinian cause is a gateway to Islam?
Yes.
So, can I just say something on that? I mean, I don't think it makes much of a difference to say if it's a tool or if it's a goal. It's a tool with one purpose, so you could use them interchangeably. The Palestinian cause, yes, I agree. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's a tool with the intention of global domination. And it's not just used by Muslims, it's also used by leftists with one intention to destroy the current world order and replace what they have in mind in its stead, right? That's the whole purpose of it. And because this tool has only one purpose, then we just use them interchangeably. We could say the Palestinian cause's intention is global domination. And again, we don't even, this is not a theory. They admit this. They admit this many times. I always like to read this quote by a senior PLO leader in 1977. Remember, the Palestinian cause had three owners. First, it had the Pan Arabists used it with the same intention. Their intention was to become a political bloc against the Western powers, kind of like the Soviet Union, but they wanted to make an Arab bloc, an Arab empire against the Western order, and they used the Palestinian cause for it. Then they failed with the fall of Jamal Abdel Nasser by Israel. That movement was destroyed. Then we had the Pan-Islamists in its Sunni format, taking over the Palestinian cause with the same intention, trying to bring a global caliphate against the Western order. That failed, and now the third owners of the Palestinian cause are mainly the Velayat Faqih, Ethno Ashari Velayat Faqih version of Shia Islam in Iran. And their goal is to use Iran like an ATM to fund the Palestinian cause with the intention of global domination. The first stage was removal of Pahlavi. Second stage is the removal of Israel. Third stage is to destroy United States and do global domination. And this is the quote from a PLO leader in 1977. His name is Zohair Mohsen, senior leader. And this is at the phase when the Palestinian cause was owned by the Pan-Arabists. The quote is like this: "The Palestinian people do not exist. There is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese. Between Jordanians and Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese, there are no differences. We are all part of one people, the Arab nation. Just for political reasons, we carefully underwrite our Palestinian identity, because it is of national interest for the Arabs to advocate for the existence of the Palestinians to balance Zionism. Yes, the existence of a separate Palestinian identity exists only for tactical reasons. Once we have acquired all our rights in all of Palestine, and this is me talking right now, all of Palestine means all the areas that we call Israel as well. So once they have all of that, so let me read it again. Once we have acquired all of our rights in all of Palestine, we must not delay for a moment the reunification of Jordan and Palestine. So it means as soon as they win, the Palestinian name and identity is over. This is just a temporary identity that they have created for a pan-Arab empire. And it's the same thing after with the Sunnis and after with the Shias. And thank you, baby.
Let's go to Nail Bunny next.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of that. So, one of the things that a lot of people try and claim is that, oh, they support Iranians, but they also support Palestinians. And I explained that you can't do that. That's impossible. That Palestinianism is a fake movement created by the same, red and green or red and black, whatever, alliance that staged its coup in Iran, and it's behind all the proxies. But so this idea that you're going to buy into Palestinianism and that you actually support Iranians, they're antithetical to each other. It doesn't make any sense. So the other thing I wanted to say actually is that I encourage everyone to watch the interview from the Free Press. It came out 2 days ago, and it's with an ex-member of the DSA. He was an organizer for a long time. His name is Jake Altman, and he said that the DSA was a Zionist organization, and that they just got completely taken over by Islamists and people and communists. So he's talking about it. It's just that the guy Al Sayed, he said he's going to do whatever he can to make sure that he never ever sees any office at all. So I encourage everyone to watch that interview. It's very good. It's shocking. Share it widely. Share it with friends of yours who are thinking, oh, wow, DSA, they sound so good. Who could argue with all these amazing ideas? Share it with them. Please share it with them. Because people need to see this BS. And it's the exact same thing is happening in the UK, where the Green Party was, a bunch of hippies who cared about the environment, and now suddenly they're Marxist Islamists as well. So they've taken over that party. So just wanted to share that.
Okay, thanks, Noah Bunny. Let's go to Jose next.
Okay, this is in regards to Samantha's comment about Miss Rachel, that show. Samantha, I don't know if you know or not, and it's a peer you need to pay attention to, because that show was originally created to help parents with autistic children. That's why it has such a draw for all children, because it's going for the least common denominator. Okay? So yeah, you need to be aware of that. Also, that appearance with Mandani and agreeing with Mandani was spread through most of the Jewish community in the United States, and they've lost a majority. She's lost a majority of her, shall we say, followers. Okay, she can still keep her plaque because she got up to that point, but she's not going to get a new one anytime soon because she's lost them. If she's gained any, it's the people that believe like her and Mandani. All right. Now, just as information, okay? And Sapir, I would hope you already knew that about her, that she was targeting originally just the autistic children. I got two in the family. That's why I know all about this one. And I know exactly what my niece and my nephew did as soon as they found out. That channel disappeared from their YouTube lineups immediately. And that's saying quite a bit. So yeah, that's part one. Nail Bunny. I got a different definition for DSA for you. It's a shame Roy's not on here, but Samantha was explained this yesterday when Roy was on. The DSA can actually be traced back to the Nazi Party, Democratic Socialists. That's the Nazis. That's another way of saying the National Socialists in Germany. Okay. And this is something that Roy brought up yesterday in the after chat. And I know he told you, Samantha, I know you heard it because you had a, let's shall we say, oh shit moment when he said that. Okay. So there's a little confusion there, and it might be a misleading. Neil Bunny, it might be something that he said to mislead, because I don't think any Zionist will claim that they're a member of the Nazi Party. Okay? Just like I doubt any Jews will claim they're a member of the Nazi Party. All right, so that's that. So can Miss Rachel do a lot of damage? Yeah, she can. Maybe. But at the same time, her target audience is well aware, and she lost the majority of her audience because they were mainly people with autistic children that did not like Mandani unless they were of the like mind of Mandani, which means those kids are lost anyway. You know, that's all I have.
And Nail Bunny, quickly respond. Let's move on.
Yeah, I know about the Nazis. Thanks very much. My point was this guy was actually in the organization, and he knows all the people that were there 10, 15 years ago. And they all had very normal democratic ideas. Progressive, I guess, is probably what they considered themselves. It was just that within their ranks, suddenly they were expected to be supporting Putin and Iran and terrorist organizations. And he said, this is just his words. He said, we were Zionists. So he's talking about the membership of the DSA, the people he talked to every day in the organization. So the history doesn't matter. The words don't matter. It's the people that he was talking to, the people that he knew in the organization as an organizer. He knew all the people, and all the people were not like that. It was people that joined later and started swaying things. And it was almost like he talks about it as if it seemed like it was manufactured, that suddenly all of these people were there and they were running things and nobody knew what the hell was going on. That was my point. I recommend watching the interview. It's a very good interview. Thanks.
Okay, let's go next on the list. Siddhartha?
Sorry, I'm here. Okay. So much to say. This is like this topic with, discussion with so many elements. I just want to clarify what the question is before I go in 1,000 different directions. So I think, Armin, you were asking about like Iranians asking you what's going on in America, in particular, like with the appeal of the Palestinian cause.
Yes, they're noticing more politicians there, especially this Abdul El Sayed guy, um, winning the primaries for the Senate. A lot of videos from Chicago, Michigan, with Shia processions, large crowds of people in black chanting for Hussein. Are like, how is this possible in the United States? Is United States going to be like Europe? Are they falling as well? Like, they're concerned because they think if there's any force in the world that is standing up against Islam and communism, it's the United States. So they're afraid that if this is how the direction United States is going, then the whole world is doomed. That's their concern.
Yeah. Well, so I would say I definitely share their concern. I think that this sort of, let's say, anti-Israel, anti-Western coalition in America is does appear to have a lot of steam and momentum. I think that they are, in many respects, electorally challenged. They're electorally challenged because they can really appeal to activists, but that comes along with sort of policy compromises. Um, so in a sense that the activists make demands of the establishment, and then the establishment is in the hard position of trying to sell this to the average voter. And it's really troubling. You just look at El Sayed, for example. He did extremely well in Ann Arbor and East Lansing and college towns, but did quite poorly in sort of traditional Democratic working class neighborhoods in Michigan. So anyway, this is not to say that this is not a threat, because it is. So I think so. That's one thing, is that there is some some momentum, and there is a real appeal to the activist class. So they are excited, whereas I think normal sort of normie Democrats or establishment Democrats are really not excited about anything. And this is also to some degree true of the Republicans as well. So there is a lack of enthusiasm. Again, this may change, and everything is in play. But one of the advantages that they have, this activist class, anti-Israel, anti-Western group, is that there's enthusiasm. But I do think that there is a kind of a short-term hard cap for what they can do electorally. Now, I could be wrong, but this is my sense of the matter. So the real concern is long-term. Like, can this grow, or is this already sort of at its peak? And I think it's possible that we've already kind of reached its peak. But again, it's in play, and we have to be extremely conscientious about this and very vigilant. There's a lot that we can do, and there's a lot. I mean, having these conversations is part of it. But yeah, I mean, like, definitely be alarmed. But I would say that I think the U.S. is still quite a bit away from being taken over by the Palestinian cause, or becoming a kind of a socialist or socialist kind of friendly country.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.